tons of grandchildren that she never met or seen. Heck, she wasn't even related to them. But they meant the world to her, and she meant the world to them. Dorothy Landgraf, also known as Granny Dot of New Albany, Indiana, spent 12 years handwriting letters to U.S. troops during the Gulf War. They were addressed to, quote, any service person. She thought it would be nice for troops who might not get mail from home. Her letters said things like, I wish all of you could be home and getting on with your life in peace and happiness. Well, her words and her warmth became their home away from home. Over time, Granny Dot couldn't write anymore, and she lost touch with a lot of those troopers. But you're going to meet one soldier who never forgot her or her letters. So he just had to let her know how much she touched his life. So you know what he did? He reached out 18 years later, afraid he'd missed the chance to thank her. Sergeant First Class Brian Vasquez joining us now live from Shreveport, Louisiana. And Brian, you actually found her. How did you do it?
I was going through some paperwork and looking for stuff I was for the Army, paperwork I was using to retire. And I found an old letter, and I looked at it and I said, oh wow, great, because I was trying to get in touch with her, and I lost the letter 18 years ago.
And tell me what those letters did for you, Brian, and the other guys and women around you in the armed forces.
Well, it was very motivating because at the time we were all young, 18, 19-year-olds going to another country to deploy. So it was kind of inspirational to keep us going so we wouldn't give up or feel alone. So it was very inspirational to me and all the soldiers around me, and I never forgot her. And I wanted to give her her rightful credit and due by telling her story to the world.
And so what would happen? Would just bags of mail come in and you would see these letters saying, to any soldier, and you would just reach in and grab one? Is that how it worked?
Yes, it was a box full of letters, and her name was on all of them. And I decided one day to pick it up and read it. And once I did, it was like, wow, this lady is special. And a lot of soldiers just sat together and was talking about her one day. And I said, well, I'm going to write her. And I did. And she wrote me back several times. I promised I would call her when I got back to the States, but I couldn't find the letter. And I was very discouraged about that. But luckily, 18 years later, I found it. Don't know how, but I found it, and I called her, and I thanked her for what she did.
Well, and we have a very special surprise for you, Brian. We actually tracked down Granny Dot. We were told she wasn't writing letters anymore, that she wasn't feeling real well, but she's joining us on the phone now. Granny Dot, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us. Do you remember Brian Vasquez?
Yes, I do.
Oh, and do you remember when he called you up, and how did that make you feel?
Oh,